Hello everyone, this is Blazerator, and today I'll be showing you how to create a studio setup in Cycles, which will give you a render result of something like this. So let's jump right in. Okay, so currently, if we render this, there's no lighting in the background. So now, the main aim of this tutorial is to get these soft gradations, I think they're called. So you have a smooth transition between the hard reflections on the car's body. And yeah, so the main aim of this tutorial is to achieve that look, which is visible in many studio car renders, which you might see in magazines and such. So first we begin by just pulling down here, and I'm going to go into the node editor with Cycles render enabled. I'm going to go to the world panel. Currently we have nothing, so I'm going to begin by adding a world. Where is it? Background. Yeah, background. I'm going to link this up, and let's just see what we have currently. Currently we just have a plain grey background, not much contrast between the actual car's body, so we can't really tell the form, and this is not the look we're going after. Now the trick to this look, to this render setup, is to use a gradient texture. So if we plug this into the background channel, and we're going to perspective mode by pressing numpad 5, you can see straight away that we have a gradient in the background. And already you can see the smooth reflections on the car's window here. However, this gradient texture is oriented the wrong way. So we're going to fix that. Shift A, input, texture coordinates. Shift A, vector, and mapping. And we're going to rotate this background. So we connect generator to the vector input, and vector to the vector input of the gradient texture. I'm going to change to quadratic, as it gives us a smoother fall off, which is what we're after. And I'm going to rotate this, and as you slowly rotate you can see the effect. So 90 degrees does the job. Let's get the render currently. It's not that great. It would be better if we had a thin strip going across like this and on the window. So to do that, we need to use a color ramp node. Shift A, converter, color ramp. And this allows us to control the fall off and where the colors from black to white begin. I'm going to set it to ease because it once again gives a smoother fall off. You can see straight away that it is affecting the background. So as you move this along, you can get a different look. You can get like a spotlight effect, so say around a big round disc in the sky. And using this vector mapping node, you can rotate this. So you can put this at around 180 and have it to the side there. As you can see, it gives a cool look. It gives more light to this side of the car. However, that's not what we're going to do. I'm going to set this back to 90. I'm going to bring this all the way down. I'm going to push this as far as I can without crossing over, otherwise the bottom becomes white. So I'm going to push this as far as I can without crossing over. And that's about right. If we look at this, you can see the strip starts from the bottom, sharp reflection, and fades away. into a thin, like a ring. So to do that, we add, I don't know if you can see that there, we add another value point, I guess. We set this to black. So we have essentially that ring. You can see that. Now if we go to the camera's view, you can see how that works. Straight away we have some nice reflections, a smooth fall off here, with a simple setup that is easy to create. However, the car's body is not completely illuminated, so I'm going to also add a plane, a Shift A mesh plane. I'm going to scale this up by pressing S to make it surround the car's body. I don't know if you can see that there. So here we go, surrounding the car. I'm going to scale on the x-axis to give it a closer proportion to the car. I'm going to bring it up as well. So, yeah, it's up here. So if we go back into rendered mode, and we, in the material settings for that plane, which is selected, I'm just going to add a quick emission material, so that we get some more light on the car, to give it light. However, there is one problem. The car is reflecting this plane. We don't want this, so we'll go into the object panel here, go to the ray visibility, and deselect camera, glossy, transmission, and I think we can leave disable shadow as well. So essentially, by only enabling the diffuse ray visibility, that object is only affecting diffuse rays. So it's not going to appear in glossy reflections. It won't appear to the camera. As you can see, it's disappeared. So if we enable this, it comes back. And these two I'm not sure, but it should also mean the same thing. So it won't appear in transmission rays and in shadow rays. So if there's another light or emission plane behind this emission plane, it won't cast any shadows, I'm guessing. I haven't tested that. So now if we go back to the camera view, you can see how the car is illuminated. It's got some nice reflections here, and plus the car has light, so it's well lit. And this is essentially the entire setup. However, we can fine tune it a bit more and customize the world background here. So I want more light to come onto the side of this car here. So as you can see in this render, this side of the car is more lit. So to do that is very simple. We just duplicate this by selecting them, shift selecting and left clicking. I'm going to shift D to copy them and paste them here. I'm just going to move these across because I need some working space. Now I'm just going to connect this color ramp node to the background, and I'm not going to forget to connect this as well, so we need that vector information. I'm just going to keep this as a normal fall off here, so you can see. However, one thing I'm going to do is rotate this so that it's coming from the left side. So that will mean 180 degrees. You can see that's from the left now. I'm going to make like a small spot lamp, I guess. So to do that, I just shift these across, and you can see, and delete this also. Excuse me. So yep, you can see how that is a smooth sort of lamp. And let's just disable this for now. I'm just going to disable this because it's affecting our render. So I'm just going to make this 0 for now. Now, if we go back to the render, you can see how that lamp, or that setup we made, is lighting up this area of the car, which is exactly what I want. So you can even make it higher, or you can even rotate it like this to bring it closer on the z-axis. So this will light up evenly everywhere. Not everywhere, just the left side or the right side of the car. However, one thing is we're missing the main lighting that we did. So the ring on the top is not there anymore. To fix this, as you can see, these are color outputs, which means normal mix, screen, multiply operations can occur, and we can apply it to these two. So I'm going to press Shift A, color, mix. I'm just going to combine these two and feed the output into the same background channel. Make sure it's at 0.5 so that they're even. Actually, I'm going to press Add. I'm going to keep it on clamp so that the values don't pass RGB1. You can see now the background contains this smaller circular lighting setup that we've created, and also the upper ring for those reflections. And you can see now, if there's much effect at all, let's just disable the extra ring that we made. You can see it's not as bright here. However, once we enable it, there's much more light and it looks much better. We'll go ahead and select that plane once more and put it back to 3. And there you go. We have a well lit car which is suitable to render to I don't know, looks pretty good to me. I'm going to increase the strength of the background because the reflections aren't popping as much as I would like them to. Go ahead and yeah. So if I make this 3, that's a bit too bright here. Make it 1.5. Could even go for 2, I guess. And decrease the amount that this circular spot gradient that we created affects the entire world. So yep, and pretty much we have a similar result. You can see how the reflections follows this line here, and we have that reflection on the window, and it has a smooth fall off as well. Now, one thing you're probably wondering is, where is the floor? Well, it's not modeled yet, so let's just go ahead and do that as well. Now, the floor consists of a simple, just say a circle extruded out this way, so it follows this curve so that there is not a distinct light change as it curves away. That's why in this one, in this render, you can see how it's a smooth fall off of light. And let's just go ahead and model that as well. So I'm going to press Shift A, add mesh circle, T, and decrease this to 16, and fill it with a triangle fan. Now, if we go to the top view, you can see that circle is added here. I'm just going to scale this up so that it encompasses the whole car. Now, if I go into edit mode by pressing Tab with the circle selected, Alt right click will select the ring. Now I want to extrude this out. So to do that, I'll press E to extrude, and without clicking on anything, I'll press scale, the scale button, so S, and I'll scale this up a bit. Now I'll go into front view by pressing numpad 1, and I'm going to make this go out like this. I'm going to extrude it outwards. However, not like this by pressing E. I'm going to once again scale it out like this. So pressing S to scale. And on the Z-axis, I'm going to lift it up like that. Lift it up a bit higher, scale it. Now press Tab to go back to object mode. And you can see it doesn't look that good here. It's a bit tall actually. Just scale this out. and also it's crossing through the car. I'm just going to bring this down, Z to go into wireframe mode. I'm just going to slowly lift this up to the tires. There we go. And we can see how we now have a floor. One thing I'm going to do to this is I'm going to enable a subdivision modifier. This essentially smooths out the object. Yes, one thing I have enabled is simplify, which as you can see, it limits the subdivisions in the whole scene to whichever number you set here. I'm going to just disable that. And you can see how we have a smooth background now. So it's like a smooth backdrop. And we'll press T, go into the object tools, and enable smooth shading. If we go back into camera view by pressing numpad 0, you can see how the background is already, you can see how it's smooth. Now if we press this to render, this may take a while to build because, well, that was surprising. Yeah. However, one thing I don't want for this floor is for it to appear in the reflections of the car. So that's one thing I disabled in this render. And to do that is simple. We just go back to the ray visibility channel here and remove glossy and transmission, I guess. And as you can see, it's coming up pretty good. However, it is a bit too bright. So one thing I will do is go to the material panel for this with the floor selected, add a new material, and just decrease the color, so make it a darker grey. Yeah. So that's basically how it's done. We can remove this, and we can just give this a quick 25, 40. Go to the light paths, 2. I'm just going to render this to 50 passes just to show you how it looks. This might take a while. I'm running on a Intel i7 920 processor, I think. I don't have a GPU to render this with. I haven't got a NVIDIA GPU to render this with anyway. So no CUDA cores for me. That's slowly rendering. One thing I should have disabled as well is this shadow option. This would mean that the light casted by the background is hitting the studio backdrop and casting a shadow onto the car. So I'm just going to disable this, render that out again, just to see if there is any difference. And if there is, you can see the difference as well. Let's just wait for this. It's not the most fun thing to do. I'll recommend go make yourself a coffee or something. And eat a sandwich, or get someone to make you a sandwich. Watch TV. And that is done. So, okay, there's no apparent difference here. So I think I just made you wait for a minute. But anyway, I just feel safe disabling this. I just want it to appear in diffuse rays and also camera rays. That means light will bounce off it and appear in diffuse rays. So thank you for watching. That's pretty much how you create this studio setup in Blender. That's the final node setup here. It's a bit too small to see, but I'll just bring in closer here. It's not that hard. It just might take a bit of a while to completely understand. It's not that hard to understand. But yeah, I tried to go slow in this tutorial. Others have commented on my previous tutorial saying I didn't go in depth enough and I was going too fast. So I tried to explain everything I did. Please give me some feedback because I'm still new to making tutorials. It's not something I've been doing for a very long time. So yeah, thanks for watching.